right, we'd like to welcome you back into the Friday Main Event Region Preview Show. This is a 3A edition. Again, as we've done in the previous two classifications, there'll be three videos strictly for 3A, Lee. This particular video we're doing it right now will be the East regions. That's regions 1 through 4. We'll be covering those regions in depth for Class 3A. Following this video, I hope you guys will stay tuned and click on the next video in this series. That'll be regions 5 through 8, and then we'll conclude the 3A with our 3A top 10, Lee. Very desired place to be, correct?
Well, there's been one team sitting atop of it for the last 30 years. So.
It happens to be in this class, right?
That's right.
That's a good point.
But the rest of them, yeah.
I wonder who'll be in it this year.
I wonder.
Well, Lee, let's get things started over in Region 1. Region 1 typically not a strong region. They were swept in the playoffs first round last year. Almost swept the year before. I think it was an overtime game that only prevented them from being swept the last 2 years in a row. But, Lee Teat, the cream of the crop has been Johnson County in the Region 1 3A.
Oh, yeah, Don Curley, he's, especially in Region 1, he's pretty much owned it. There was an interesting statistic you mentioned to us off air there about 3A, non-region champ. No region champ lost a region game in the regular season in all of 3A.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That was pretty
Every
cool.
region champion was undefeated in region play.
Undefeated as Johnson County did, went 5-0. I think Coach Curley's going to be right back at the top of Region 1 this year. He's got 7 coming back on offense, 8 on defense. I don't see much change.
No, they won as you mentioned, they won their region games by an average of 31 points a game. So I don't see anybody stepping up and overcoming a deficit like that. Jared Kimball at running back, Curtis Lowe, a linebacker, Corey Neely, Gavin Wilson, defensive end. Some of the kids coming back for this Longhorn squad. I think Johnson County cruises in Region 1. Lee, I think this is one of the regions that is kind of a recurring theme in these region preview shows. In all likelihood, there's a good possibility that it plays out the same way as last year. Last year, Unicoi County, the Blue Devils, Lee, took second place in this region.
They did. Coach Rice been there 4 years. Unicoi went 9-3 last year, 4-1 in the region. Obviously, he's lost to Johnson County. He's got a 7-6 coming back. Cody Lewis is a preseason All-Stater at running back for him. That's big. And then he's got a junior quarterback, Brock Thompson, coming back. So, like I said, I think probably status quo, much of the same this year for the Blue Devils. And
they should, Lee. I mean, they kind of had a weak non-region schedule last year. Looking at it this year, they've got Hampton. I would probably favor Hampton in that particular game. We talked about that in our last video.
Right.
Hampton's pretty stout. I think it will be pretty stout. South Green, Happy Valley, they're at Sullivan East, and they have Volunteers. So they may have 1 or 2 non-region games in that schedule, I believe.
Right.
Moving on down, Lee, Chucky Doak was the third place team last year. I suspect probably, as I mentioned, I think the order stays the same. They've got 6 starters back on offense, 7 on defense. Ben Murphy, 62 and 107. He's 30-34 in 6 years at Chucky Doak. What's your expectations? Do you see them about the same or maybe moving up? What's your thoughts?
I don't see them surpassing Johnson County or Unicoi County. I think they're still probably a 3 or 4 spot. 4-7 overall last year, 2-3 in the region. Can they flip-flop the region to 3-2? Go 3-2 this year in the region? Maybe. They got Matthew Palazzo back, as a junior quarterback, and Evan Mervin, who's a junior running back, and then they got a junior free safety in Matthew Butch. So they got a lot of juniors. With some playing time.
That's good for next year, right?
Good. That is good.
Yeah. And then moving on down, Lee, Claiborne County, the Bulldogs finished 4th last year. You and I both, I think, were in agreement. Most likely a 4th place team again this year. They were shut out by Alcoa in the first round. I hope I've got that right, Lee. Did Alcoa shut out Unicoi County and and Claiborne County by the same margin, 56-0? Surely I did my research right. That's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Identical scores, first round, second round. Pretty sure that's correct. Old Mike don't make too many mistakes in his research, but he does every now and then. But I thought that was kind of ironic. You had both the scores in the Alcoa games in the first and second round identical, 56-0.
112.
I'm sure my Coach T buddies are looking that up right now just to see if I got that
That's right.
I wish I'd double checked before I called attention to that, but who knows? I think Claiborne County lead, despite the fact they got 8 starters back on offense and 7 on defense. You're talking about a 2-9 team, 2-3 in region play. I don't think there's any room for them to move up. Do you?
I don't. I think maybe their overall record improves because they're playing Unica and Cosby,
True.
Yeah. But I don't see them besting Unicoi or Johnson or even Chucky Dope.
And that Cumberland Gap
Right.
potential win there. 8 starters back, as we mentioned, on offense. Hayden Holland, one of those wide receiver DB. Eli Stone at quarterback. Storm, is that Livesay? Is that how you would say that?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I got you on this show, to help me pronounce these names. I'm not very good at it. So, but, yeah, they got some kids back, Lee, and I don't see them dropping off any. I think they do secure that 4th playoff spot. West Green, the 5th place team in the region, had an identical record, but they lost the heads up. 8 starters back on offense, 7 on defense. They did have a preseason All-State, and quarterback Alec Daugherty is returning. So, who knows? That could be big for him.
That's right. He's a special kid. Any kid that's a preseason All-Staters, he's got some talent with him. But man, it's just an uphill struggle for him.
Well, he was All-State as a punter, but
right.
I mean that tells you he's an athlete,
yeah,
right?
If he can play linebacker, quarterback, and punt, he ain't coming off the field, so he must be pretty tough.
He's an Iron Man, isn't he?
That's right.
So yeah, I mean that's an up click for him. The fact they got a lot of returners back, and they have a preseason All-State representative there for the Eagles. North Green rounds this out, 0-10 last year. Lee 0-5 in region play. Obviously, Andrew Murray. That was his first year at North Green. Pretty rough start, but that program is really down now. Only 4 starters back on both sides of the ball. To me, if I've got an 0-10 team, that's a good thing. I want new meat in there.
Sure.
So
maybe they'll. I suspect they'll get a win or two. Anytime you come into that though, like you said, and that's a hard thing to do as a head coach when you come in and you got a lot of returning starters or a lot of kids that played before and they've been coached a certain way up until you get there, and then maybe you want to make some changes and do a few things. That can be tough.
Right, exactly. And you mentioned they got Hancock County, Unica. They do venture out of region against Twin Springs. Actually, Twin Springs, Virginia comes to them. That's
right.
A home game. Jellicoe and South Green, a couple of more non-region games. So I agree with you. Possibly the winless streak gets broken this year.
Right.
You think? You
I
want to
think
put some money on it?
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to. Lee, let's move on down to Region 2. You've got 7 teams now, 1 new coach, and, of course, this region, Gary Rankin is unbelievable. 425 career wins now. He corrected me. I remember at the state title game, I said that I actually was saying how many state tournament titles he had as a coach, and he thought I was saying Alcoa's number,
Right.
and he corrected me right there in the middle of the interview. I'm sorry, Coach.
Let us know.
I'm not gonna argue with Coach Rankin. I mean, that dude has been, he's forgotten more football than most people know, and he's done a phenomenal job there. Beat Covington 21-14 in the title game. Rounded out that 15-0 season, including a win over Maryville. They hadn't had a win over Maryville in several years. So
That's correct.
That was big for them. So what do you think about Alcoa heading into this 2019 season?
Man, you know what's scary? They may be better.
That is scary.
They may be even better. what do they got? 5 preseason
I think
All-State?
it's 4. I believe I counted earlier. I think it's 4.
I think got Eli Mitchell.
5.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot his son, Zeke, was his second year in a row, I believe.
That's right.
His All-State kicker. So, 5. That's crazy.
And then, to beat everything, he gets a junior quarterback transfer from Sevier County.
And this kid's already committed, I think. So I want to say somewhere in Ohio, maybe, but I think he's. I don't know if he's committed. Let me re-say. I know he's got offers, Lee. I'm not sure if he's committed or not, but he does have D1 offers already. He's only a junior. I'd say he's probably not committed, considering the fact that he's a junior. But yeah, Cam Burden. I mean, what can you say?
Nothing.
The rich get richer, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean. It's just a testament to Coach Rankin. Kids love to play for him. He's tough. He's kind of a throwback coach.
Yeah.
Obviously been around for a long time, but he is kind of a throwback guy, but the kids love to play for him. And he absolutely has probably the best assistant coaching staff.
I agree with that. Yeah.
In the state.
And they've been with him a long time.
They've been with him a long time. And he's, people don't even really realize how many coaches Gary's put out that are head coaches now. I say it's over 50.
Oh, yeah.
It's up there.
And we've had that conversation with him.
It's ridiculous. But, hey, what about this Blackman ball game week 1?
I'm going to that. I actually had some guy that's in the media, I don't want to say his name, in Murfreesboro. He messaged us. He's been enjoying our shows, ironically, and he mentioned that he was going to be at that. He wants to meet you and I at that Blackman game, Lee. But I think what's so crazy about this Alcoa team, this is the second team in Blount County that I know of that had a Mr. Football winner that graduated, and we're talking about Walker Russell in 3A.
That's right.
And, of course, Greenback got a replacement quarterback. Both of them had quarterbacks that transferred in. I don't mean just average quarterbacks. I mean stud quarterbacks transferred in to replace a Mr. Football.
Well, I think you're going to see – and we've talked about this too, kind of off the air. We've mentioned this. I think you're going to start seeing more and more of this in high school football.
I do too.
I mean, you got kids leaving now that are going down to play for IMG Academy in Florida there. And so, that's only going to follow suit locally. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see TSSAA, how they handle this going forward. I got mixed emotions about some of their policies.
Right.
But I think
you had a kid that played for a high-profile private school, so
Right. I see both sides of this arguments, but I think you're going to start seeing more and more of this. Kids that are talented and want to go get a look somewhere else. They're migrating towards the Alcoas of the world,
more successful program.
And parents are willing to do so now.
Well, from an exposure standpoint, you can understand it. I mean, you're talking about a lot of money when you're talking about free ride to college. You're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. So you kind of justify what's going on here.
So I think you'll see more of that. But yes, that is interesting. That statistic.
And Eli Mitchell, the offensive lineman, one of those preseason returning players. Braxton Alford, another offensive lineman. You got Gray Carroll, the defensive lineman. He's only a junior, Lee, another member of that All-State team. J.R. Jones at running back, and then we mentioned Zeke Rankin, the kicker. So, and the funny thing is we discussed Cam Burden coming in there from Sevier County. My friend and your friend Donovan Stewart said he won't start at quarterback. He thinks it's going to be between some of the returning players, Tristan Blankenship, Zach Lunsford, Sam Vaulton, all candidates for the quarterback position. Now, I don't know, Donovan obviously has more access than we do, but he tells me Cam Burden won't be playing quarterback there.
Really?
That's what the man said, but I don't know whether he was speculating or if
somebody
has told him that.
Let me tell you the truth, Mike. With that kind of lineup, I could probably get back there and snap it.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Take some snaps.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I agree with you, partner. Well, Lee, let's move on down in Region 2. Austin East, the Roadrunners. And Lee, I think this is one team that if they weren't in the region with Alcoa, and maybe if Alcoa wasn't even in 3A, we would see Austin East probably made one, maybe two trips to the title game already.
Absolutely.
Jeff Phillips done a heck of a job there, 43 and 29 in 6 years, 9-4 last year, 5-1 overall. In region play. 2 of those losses were at Alcoa, Lee Teat.
Right.
So, what do you think about the Roadrunners this year?
Well, like you said, I think 12 of his 29 losses are to Alcoa.
Probably so.
Because they meet every year in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, they're loaded with talent as well. Isaiah Ligon is a special player. Preseason All-State wide receiver. Trey Foster, preseason All-Stater. Keon Smith, Chris Green. You know, in Austin East, called the Roadrunners, ironically, they are always very fast. They're very well coached. But they just happen to be in
with Alcoa.
with Alcoa. And they got Fulton.
I like the fact, Lee, that you just mentioned, you know, you got Isaiah Ligon and Trey Foster, 2 senior preseason All-State players with phenomenal statistics. Returning, I think they give Alcoa a game. I'm not going to say, you know, that.
No, they're going to show up and
play.
play.
They're going to show up and play.
What was the score last year? 24-6. I think that might have been the closest game Alcoa had other than the finals.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
I think that's
so.
right.
Yeah, I think they lost 31-8 in their first meeting, if I remember right. But yeah, I think Austin East is the only team in region that has a shot at even keeping the game close. Kingston is was the third place team last year, Lee, with 6 starters on offense and defense, including Elijah Hill, Trey Schultz at quarterback. They got Colton Baszler, good offensive lineman, senior. What you see predominantly is seniors. They do have Eli Davis coming in at linebacker, freshman, that they got high expectations for. But They are a senior-heavy team, the Yellow Jackets. I kind of think that may drop this year, Lee.
I can see that because of the 2 teams that finished below them last year. Coach Derek Rang at Gatlinburg-Pittman, we thought that was an outstanding hire for GP, and it's turned out it has been. I don't see Kingston staying in the 3 spot this year, man.
And you mentioned Gatlinburg-Pittman. I think they were the 4 seed last year, Lee. I think they move up. I think they move up ahead of Kingston, in my opinion. They got 9 kids back on offense, 7 on defense. They've got a couple of preseason All-State kids. Bo Rowland, big offensive lineman, senior. Also, J.D. Schultz is back at quarterback, and we talked to Coach Ring last year. He's very impressed with that kid. Bryce Ackey at running back is the second All-State player on that team. I think he made the All-State as a DB, if I remember right. But I like the Highlanders. I think they snatch the 3rd place in this region.
I think they do, and they got 9 returners back on the offensive side of the ball and 7 on defense. And I actually think, Mike, depending on how things work on a Friday night, you know how the ball bounces sometimes. If GP can get a ball to bounce the right way, they could play out Austin East real tight.
I agree with you.
And depending on how that ball bounces on that Friday night, they could take the 2 spot.
That'd be great. For Coach Rain.
As of right now, yes, I see Austin East as 2nd, GP 3.
And Coach Rain, a really good friend of ours from the show. He was former Dresden head coach. He coached at Powell. One of the better, in my opinion, young coaches in the state.
Well, he's a Corals protege.
That's correct. Come from that Maryville program.
That's right.
We actually thought I thought it was down to he and Derek Hunt, to replace the legend George Quarles when he moved on to college. But, Maryville's done well with Hunt, so you can't criticize the pick. Derek Hunt's done an excellent job. I don't think either one of those guys would have been a bad choice.
Oh, no. They're going to win.
Scott County, Lee Teat was the 4 seed. Did not make the playoffs last year at 3-7, 2-4. I kind of think they may challenge Kingston for that 4th spot. I actually like Scott County. They had a heavy senior graduation, but a lot of those kids got playing time last year, including Alex Jeffers, Mason Owens, Adam Ledbetter, Braden Carson, the junior linebacker, very good ball player. I like Scott County. I like the Highlanders. I think they have a good shot of getting that 4th seed.
Well, this is Coach Terry's second year coming in. So, first year he goes 3-7. I see a little bit of an improvement there coming. He's got a young squad, which is always good too. A lot of juniors, a lot of sophomores.
Right.
I think they'll pick up some more wins. You like them at the 4?
I like them at the 4. I think, and the reason why I say that, I don't really know. The next team we're going to discuss is Northview Academy. They got a new head coach, Heath Woods. He was 59-42 overall. His first year, obviously, it'll be his first year here at Northview Academy. Right. He was assistant at Jefferson County. He was a former head coach at Knox Carter. I don't know. He's taking over for Todd Loveday. I don't know. You never know anytime you have a new head coach how the kids are going to respond. I think they have talent. They've got Jared Duncan at guard, Hunter Smith, really good linebacker, and then Seth Sauls at linebacker as well. So I like that secondary, that second line of defense. I think they're pretty solid there. But, as I mentioned, I don't know how well they're going to respond to the new coaching.
Right. It's always a toss-up. Might be right outside of region play.
That's what I'm thinking. Pigeon Forge, Adrian Watson, 6-14 in 2 years, 1-9 last year. Pigeon Forge has really dropped off in the last couple of years. They do have 7 starters back on offense, 5 on defense. But, Lee, if you look at the key returners, a lot of them are very young. Brady Maples, sophomore running back. You got Mason Schultz, a quarterback, sophomore. You just look down that lineup, and we're getting these references from Donovan Stewart's reports, entire state. That's where we're getting our returning player information. But if you look down that list, a lot of young kids on that list.
You think he goes 1-9 again?
Well, he's got Granger as a non-region. He's got Claiborne. He's got Sullivan Central, Sullivan North. Possibly a couple of non-region wins. If he can slip in, maybe knock off a Scott or a Northview.
Right.
Maybe 3-4 wins, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Maybe get 1 or 2, maybe 2 region wins and pick up a couple more non-conference wins. But this, like I said, man, this whole region is so predominantly 1-2 heavy.
Yeah.
But I do like GP to maybe slip in there.
I do too. All right, Lee, let's move on down to Region 3. Red Bank was kind of the team to beat. They were 20 points better, I think, than every team in the region. Actually, won by an average of 30 points. Signal Mountain, they only beat them 20-13. That was their closest game. So kind of the theme we talked about at the start of the show, the region champs pretty much dominated every region in 3A. Chris Brown, 11-1 in his first year at Red Bank. He was the linebackers coach at Cleveland, if you'll remember, before he came there. He also coached some at Ottawa. But he done a really good job at Red Bank there in his first year. Pretty impressed with the Lions.
I definitely am impressed. 11-1 in your first year. Lost to a solid Upperman team in the third round of the playoffs, 50-21. Which Upperman, we know, I thought probably played Alcoa as good of a ball game as they could have played them.
They did, yeah.
But he's got a senior quarterback coming back who went for 2,200 yards last year, 65% completion ratio, and Maddox Wilkie. Mm-hmm. Then he's got 2 preseason All-State linemen, and Jaden High and B.J. Ragland. One on the offensive side, one on the defensive side, and then Lockerby's a preseason All-State linebacker, so he's not short on talent.
He's got talent, exactly.
And I like his non-region schedule. He's got Ray County, which is moving up to.
You like it? By like it, you mean it's pretty tough, right?
Yeah, I like it because it's testing you a little bit.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
got South Pitt, Ray County, Soddy, Ottawa. That makes you ready for the playoffs.
That South Pittsburgh game will be interesting. I know that's a 1A squad, but Big Grouder squad, a lot of people think are going to contend for a state title there in 1A. And like you said, Mark Pemberton's Ray County team kind of rebuilding this year. That non-region schedule for Red Bank is going to be interesting this year.
Yes, it will.
Lee, moving on down, we mentioned Signal Mountain. The Eagles, Josh Roberts is 10-12 in 2 years there at Signal Mountain. Buddy was 6-5 last year, 4-1 in region play. That was the only team that played Red Bank close. Only got 4 starters back on both sides of the ball. Terrence Russell at wide receiver, Will Bennett at running back, Campbell Garner at linebacker, and then he's got Rob Hutcherson, a big defensive end, senior, should be strong up front, helping them lead along with Beck Dudley, another lineman that's expected to do well for the Eagles. What do you think about Josh Roberts' squad?
To be honest with you, Mike, I think they slip a little.
Slip a little.
Because they only returning 4 on each side of the ball. I think they slide in the region a little bit.
I can see that, Lee.
I really do.
Because I think a couple of other teams in the region get better. And one of those teams I think gets better is Jeff Herrick's Loudon team.
Correct. That's kind of who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
I think Loudon is probably, going to make probably the biggest jump.
They're a sleeper, no doubt. They've got a lot of returners back, 10 on offense, 8 on defense. Of course, they finished 4th last year. We're projecting them at 2 then.
I think they're the 2 spot, and the reason being the 10 on offense, 8 on D, and as you often refer to, his son is the quarterback.
That always helps.
Sophomore, young, but hey, when you're riding home with Dad, that's irreplaceable time of extra coaching you're getting with your quarterback.
And we've had Coach Herrick on the show with us before, Lee, and he's, he originally was at Loudon, and then he had a brief stint and then came back. He's 11-12 in his 2 years back at Loudon. So obviously 3-8 last year. They had a big season the first year back. Last year kind of a drop-off, but they were young.
That's right.
And that's why you see the 18 starters back. So they got a lot of experience last year, and you and I both, I think we're in agreement with that many starters coming back, and there's no doubt Coach Herrick is a very good coach.
Sure.
I think they probably jump up in the standings this year.
I do too, and a big test for them when they're going to Greenback. That'll be a good ball game.
That will be a good ball game. Coach Ryan's Greenback squad, we got them at number 1 in our 2A, so that'll be a test. Sequoia's a good squad. Polk County, Walker Valley, and Lenore City. Good test for this Loudon team. We skipped over Brainerd, Lee, the Panthers. They finished 3rd last year. I think they probably also jump over Signal Mountain. That's what I'm no, I said that wrong, didn't I? I got Signal Mountain. I got them behind Signal Mountain. I got Signal Mountain at 3. Keep me straight, man. You're not doing your job. You're supposed to straighten me out when I make a mistake. But the Panthers, Lee, what's your opinion on the Panthers this year?
I like them at the 4 spot, too. I think they're a playoff team. I don't think they get out of the first round again. Coach Ward's 12-29 overall, 6-15 in 2 years there at Brainerd. He does have DeQuantus Wynn back, running back, and then LaDarren Freeman, who's a senior quarterback, coming back.
Good.
That's always good. And he's got a couple of senior offensive linemen, I see. But, like I said, I just got a feeling this year Loudon and Signal Mountain are going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, I think so too. Sweetwater, Lee, the one of the 2 teams in this region with new head coaches, Mike Martin, is 49 and 46 overall. He's currently the AD at Sweetwater, so he's moving into the head coaching role. He was also a head coach at Meigs and East Ridge. His prior experience takes over for Ethan Edmondson, who's out there at Sweetwater. The Wildcats 2-8 last year, 1-4 in region play. 4 returners back on both sides of the ball. Drew Hicks, Simon Bloomstrom, and Zach Nichols are 3 of those. Bloomstrom is actually a junior, but 3 kids are going to be relying on heavily for this Wildcat team.
You think he can breathe life back?
Well, he's got some room to improve in non-region. Now, Meigs County, I don't think they take Meigs County. Rockwood, potentially a winnable game. Sequoia, a winnable game. Polk County, Tellico Plains, I think those are all games they could potentially win. 2-8 record, I think they could improve upon that.
I think they'll improve some. I just don't like the fact he's got 4 returners on each side of the ball. That's uphill struggle.
Like I said, though, when you're 2-8, that may be a good thing.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Who knows? McMinn Central Lee, another team with a new head coach, Derek Davis. And Coach Davis is, that was a good hire right there.
Yes.
19 years at Polk County. He's got a really good coaching background, good with the kids. I think they couldn't have made a better hire there at McMinn Central. 1-9, and I'm hearing a lot of good things from our Coach T friends.
Yes.
They like what's going on already there with that Charger program. I think McMinn Central moves up and contends for a playoff spot.
I absolutely agree. I know they were 0-5 in the region last year, like you said, and 1-9 overall. But he's got 9 on offense and 8 returners on D. And Coach Davis's record, 19 years, pretty good record. Good hire.
Yeah.
Really good hire.
I think so,
I think
too.
you're going to see some improvement. And you're right, man. They may slip into that 4th spot.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me a bit. That's, of course, Brainerd. We've got Brainerd projected there, but I think McMinn Central challenges for the 3 or 4 spot. You get a whole attitude change.
That's right.
When you bring in a new coach.
And typically, man, people are, when you hear a buzz, and we're hearing the buzz about Coach Davis over there, there's something to it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Lee, let's move on down to Region 4 quickly. We're running a little long on this 3A, but a lot of stuff to talk about. Upperman Lee was the top team last year, and Adam Kane, who came over from Sequatchie, what an incredible job he did. 13-1 overall, 5-0, and like you mentioned earlier, 27-14 loss to Alcoa in that semifinal. Up until Alcoa played Covington, that was the only team that played them close.
That's right.
So I like what Adam Kane is doing there. Of course, he's got a preseason All-State at quarterback, Donovan McAllister back, so you got to love that.
Yeah, McAllister's a real deal. He's a baller. Elijah, my oldest son, he actually went to the Alcoa Upperman game last year. It was at Upperman.
Right.
And he said McAllister was a quality player. And you know what I like about Upperman, too, and Coach Kane, man, if you look, man, he's playing Cookeville. That's a 6A school. DeKalb, 4A. Livingston, 4A. So he bumped up 3 games up into higher classifications, and that prepares you for the playoffs.
Yeah, and another team, Oneida, is a lower classification, but you and I like them in 2A.
That's right.
And then York, another team is very solid. So, he's not running and hiding. He's got a pretty tough schedule, and
I like him at the 1.
I do too. I like him at the 1, and I think with the 7 starters back on defense, coupled with Donovan McAllister leading that offense, they're not going to miss a beat this year.
No.
Now, the team that I think could potentially play them well, and the reason why I say that, Lee, is Sequatchie County. I really like Mark Wattenberger. I thought when he came over from Stone Memorial, taking over for Adam Kane, I thought he might have made a bad decision, to be honest with you, because at Stone Memorial, he was undefeated every year. I mean, he had a little cushion there, but he came over to Sequatchie 8-4, 4-1 in region play. Almost knocked off Red Bank there in the second round, so he's done a heck of a job. He's another guy that's been on the show with us.
Sure.
I really like Coach Wattenberger.
I do too. The only thing that concerns me, he's got 4 kids coming back on the offensive side of the ball and 5 on D. The thing about Sequatchie this year, I think maybe York is going to be much improved. Over a 9-3 season last year, I think they're a better team though coming in.
Right.
So I'm wondering if they don't flip flop.
That's possible
Between the 2 and the 3, I could see either one taking the 2 or the 3, but that's the only concern I have. I think Upperman's hands down the best team in the region, but I do like Coach Wattenberger and what he's doing.
Well, York's success over the last few years have been when Derwin Wright was there.
That's correct.
He's there for his second stint at York, and they were 9-3, like you said, Lee, 3-2 in region play. And he's got 6 kids back on offense, 5 on defense. Edward Stockton at tackle, and then they got C.J. Walt, free safety, Aaron Talon at guard, and then they're strong in the defensive side of the ball. I think they're going to have to find some playmakers. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
I think so too, but Coach Wright, man, a lot of times in his offense, he'll line up toe-to-toe and just slice you to death.
With that veer.
Running you to death, running slice plays, and every now and then they'll waggle somebody out and beat you deep on it because you're looking for the run. I mean, he does a good job with what he does offensively.
Right.
And I think that with the defensive side of the ball, I think they're going to be that good that he can keep the games low scoring and win them.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So.
Okay, so we like York leapfrogging Sequatchie and taking second.
I do right now.
Okay.
Right now.
I'm not going to argue with you, Lee. I can see that based on what you're saying and what we got returning. Smith County took the 4th seed last year. They've got a new head coach. Scott Murray steps in for Mike Dickerson, and Scott Murray is 18-53 overall. Of course, this is his first year. He was a former head coach at Glencliff, Hunters Lane, Whites Creek. Hadn't had a lot of coaching success, Lee. 7 starters back on offense, 6 on defense. I know you are familiar with Cameron Spivey there at quarterback.
Yes, sir.
What's your thoughts on Smith County?
I think they'll be a much I don't want to say better. I don't want to say a better team because I did like Coach Dickerson.
Mm-hmm.
He's a class act.
He is.
Class act.
Good dude, no doubt.
If anybody cared about their kids, it was Mike Dickerson. He loves them. But I do think it was time for a change. And Coach Murray, he's a Smith County guy. Now, his record, don't let that mislead you, 18-53, but he was in Metro at some of the toughest head coaching jobs there are.
Right.
At Glencliff, Hunters Lane, and Whites Creek. Those jobs are hard too.
So don't read too much
into that record. Too much into that overall record because Coach Murray knows football. Trust me, he knows it. Mm-hmm. But what I do like, man, and he was smart to step in at this time, is Cameron Spivey's a senior, Jaden Applegibb's a senior, John Ross Hort, who's an outstanding linebacker, senior, Eli Martin, running back, senior, Jared Grisham, senior. Those 4 kids that I just named right there are going to be all region.
Really?
Oh yeah, they'll all be all region.
All of them.
Yep.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
What part of this video are we?
Yeah.
Mark that. I'm gonna check you on that.
You'll see. All 4 of them kids will be all region. And Cameron Spivey and John Ross, Jaden Apple, like I said, and Eli. Eli's a baseball player though. He's probably gonna go somewhere big in baseball.
Okay.
But talented athlete. So I think 4 spot probably.
4 spot.
Yeah.
Do you think? And I was really impressed with the job Matt Daniel did in his first year at Cannon County Lee Teat. He's an alum there. He'd been coaching in Georgia since 2008. Cannon County won 4 games total in the previous 5 years before he got there. He comes in there and they go 4-6. They got a region win, first region win they've had forever.
That's right.
7 starters back on offense, 6 on defense. Man, I really, really like what Coach Daniel's done. And that's a good fan base, man. I mean, when they were just pathetic, could not win a game to save their life. I've been to games that they travel, and they're sitting up in the parking lot. They're having these tailgate parties. You would think it's freaking Alabama fixing to come into the stadium.
Yeah.
They love their football team. They've never been very good the last several years. And what a job Matt Daniel's done there at Cannon County, rejuvenating that program.
I think it was a good hire, obviously. I just think he stacked up against some more traditional, we'll say, football powers. Mm-hmm. But he's got 7 returners on offense and 6 on D. It'll be interesting to see. They very well could jump into that 4 spot. It's how the ball bounces.
That's right. I agree. But I didn't know that Smith County's going to have 4 all-region players.
They got all 4 all-region
players. You
players.
didn't tell me that, so.
They'll be all. They might not be. Well, two or 3 of them will be first team, maybe 1 second team.
Well, I mean, that kind of changed my philosophy now after getting all that. You didn't
all region?
You didn't tell me that, man. I had that kind of a toss-up for 4 seed, but they got that many all regions. I mean, Smith
Let me tell you something else.
The
reason I'm talking about this because I know every one of these kids.
I know you do.
Since they
I know you do.
Born.
I was coming across as sarcastic, but you know that team better than I do.
Well, the thing about those 4 kids that I told you about, you probably don't see those 4 kids separate from each other ever.
Tight.
They stay at each other's houses. They
Yeah.
spend. I mean, they're tight.
Okay.
So that makes a difference.
Well, you convinced me. The Lions of Cannon County, they ain't got a prayer.
No, I didn't say that. I said they got a chance.
Grundy County, Lee Teat, Tracy Hayworth, former Tennessee Vol. I think he was. I think he might have been with that Coffee County program for a while. Maybe assistant coach there. He's 1-9 in his first year. He stepped in there really, really tough situation there at Grundy County, and
I think he stepped in real late too.
he did. I mean, I'm sure you remember there was a lot of controversy going on around that program at this point in time last year. He's got a lot of kids back, a lot of returning starters, 8 on both sides of the ball. Evan Nunley, Jordan Hayworth, Nick Johnson, Tyler Andrews, Josh Childers. He's got a lot of kids back, Lee. Do they move up any in the region?
I don't think they move up in the region, but I think their overall wins may go up.
Well, where are they going to get? Where are they going to
Maybe.
get them at? They got
Maybe.
South Pittsburgh. They got Bledsoe County. They go to DeKalb County. They go to Franklin County, and they go to Whitwell. So I don't know where they're going to get the non-region games at.
Well, you're right.
They may be 1-9 again.
Well, I hate to see that.
I hate to see that too because I like Coach Hayworth. He's a good dude. I actually did a radio interview with him. I hate to see that as well, but it's a tough situation.
It's very tough.
All right, Mr. Lee Teat, that is regions 1 through 4 in Tennessee Class 3A. We appreciate, we haven't mentioned it yet, Lee, but we appreciate Coach T.
Sure.
Jim Thompson, CoachT.com. He has agreed to be our sponsor again this year. And when you got a guy that has a website, I'm pretty sure the largest high school website in the state, no doubt, probably one of the bigger ones in the country, I would say, for his high school.
I would say so.
We appreciate him supporting us. That really means a lot to us. That kind of tells me that we're in the right direction. We're doing the right thing. And Coach T, you need to go to CoachT.com. If you're not a member, you can become a Plus member, and there's no fee to be a Plus member per se. No set fee. It's donation based. You make a donation, whatever dollar amount that you feel Coach T is worth to you, and you become a Plus member. It's that simple. And if you follow high school football, if you follow high school sports, Lee, they got soccer. Yeah, they got soccer information, baseball, basketball, baseball, any high school sport. It's on this website. It's a great place to socialize with other members of sports you follow. I mean, that's what the Coach T message boards are.
Fun.
They're awesome.
They're fun,
man.
too.
We have a ball getting
They're
on
fun.
there. They are. So go to CoachT.com if you're not already a member there and join up. Jim Thompson, like I say, he had the insight to start this back in the 90s, Lee, when the internet wasn't even really heard of. And it's just grown into this huge thing. And, like I say, man, it's a phenomenal website. We love it, and we appreciate Jim Thompson joining on with us. Lee, this is the first video in our 3-part series for Class 3A. He is Lee Teat. I am Mike Molder, and we are the Friday Main Event. And we appreciate you guys joining us, and hope you'll follow us all season as we do pre-game shows every Friday. I'll get it right, Lee. I'm not going to re-record this.
Pre-game,
4:30 to 6:30. And there is a link on CoachT.com to access us, or you can go to our website at FridayMainEvent.com and get a direct link there. For Lee, I'm Mike, and this is Friday Main Event. We'll catch you guys in the next video.